rusting control panel with several knobs. Two buttons marked Marche and Arrête are faded with use. It seems to control the large crane above. A container is attached to its hook block. Marche. On. Arrête. Off. This is the night watchman's booth. The name on the door reads, René Arnaud. Listen, it's okay to take a few minutes to yourself. Sit down and have a breather.
If you must. But please hurry, we are pretty easy to spot up here.
Nothing incriminating catches your eye. The cabinets are clean and their sparse contents meticulously organized. There's a framed photograph on the table. Looks like the inhabitant is rather pedantic when it comes to order.
Let's get going. The entire neighborhood can see us up here.
All those empty wine bottles and cigarette butts on the ground. Someone partied really, really hard here. Well, they went through 6 bottles of potent Pilsner, 3 bottles of Commodore Red, and almost 4 packs of cigarettes. It must have been pretty hard.
Container, container, I'll turn you nice and red. Container, container, put the logos on.
The lyrics to this container song are being made up as he goes along. The accent is so thick, it's impossible not to notice he's Ubi, from the vanishing peninsula of Ubisund on Muindi.
Container, container, used to be Wild Pines. Container, container, now belongs to Everard. Everard, 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 he looks after everyone. Huh? Well, hey there. How can I help you, mister? I see you are not a union man, mister. Did you get lost? You're not one of them scabs, are you? I mean, I don't personally mind. Folks is just folks, you know, and folks gotta eat. Just some of the other guys don't look too kindly on the scabbing kind, if you know what I mean, mister. Oh yes, born and raised in Irish, mister. Mum had to leave my dad after he got a bit violent. Took us here to the new world. I was about 10 then, too old to lose my accent then. People say us Ubis are up to all sorts of trouble with sheep and other animals and whatnot. I just want you to know there was never any of that where I come from. No sir, those are just nasty rumours.
Thank you for clarifying that, sir.
Oh, I'm just making some covers for them containers here. Yes I am, yes I am. So it's easier for the crane operators to spot them.
The containers in the yard are green in Wild Pine's livery, and the mountains rising behind Leo is all red in Union colors. It's like some red infection was spreading outwards from the container yard's core. There appear to be cisterns underneath the Union container covers.
Yes, they are hiding it from the inside. All the red containers have the Debarders Union logo on them.
No, not really. Mr. Everett doesn't tell me all the big things. Says I go and tell them to everyone. Oh, I don't know, mister. They say it's some chemicals. Most of them have labels on them, I think. Oh, no trouble at all, mister. No trouble at all. Oh, most of the guys are down at the gates, keeping the scabs from coming in. We're on a strike. The whole union is. You don't have to work when you're on strike. Ha! We haven't worked for 2 months now.
So no one is working?
Not everyone is down there, of course. Mr. Everard is in his office, where he always is. And Jean-Luc is guarding the gate. But Titus and his boys got into some drunken trouble and Everard sent them on a nice vacation. For a week or so. Oh, I'm not really supposed to talk about that. That's union business. Him and his boys stirred up something in town. Probably drank too much and got into a fight or something. I heard Mr. Everett telling them to take some time off. I guess the boys got a bit too rowdy and had to let out some steam. I don't really know the details. That's just how boys are, you know. I haven't been in a fight since I was in middle school.
Easy, Leo. Let's keep this on the hearties.
Too late. Leo's mouth is still moving, and the words are spewing forth. Words, words, and look, even more words. This guy could go on till the end of days. Now he's talking about some drunk sawmill owner who, no, he already switched to a prized fishing rod he apparently owned at some point. You know what? Just cut in there with your questions.
Yes, yes. Everybody needs a job, and this is mine. I'm Leonard, by the way. Leonard Bellick. But everyone calls me Leo. I'm like Mr. Everett's right-hand man when Mr. Edgar is out of town, and Mr. Edgar's right-hand man when Mr. Everett is away. Actually, Miss Beaufort is the right-hand man, but she's a lady.
Who is this, Miss Beaufort?
A real pretty lady with a skin like those douce sucre candy bars my missus likes so much. Them are real nice to suckle on once the dinner is done and me and the missus sit down besides the radio. But I can't listen to the radio all the time. There's so much to do around here and I'm always busy keeping things running here. Yes I am, yes I am. Oh, Lizzie, she is a real sharp tool. Mr. Everett put her through some fancy school and everything, east of the river. 4 years she was gone, and when she came back, she was all fancy and lawyerly. But she's a real nice girl. Grew up in this here neighborhood, knows everybody and gets along with everyone. Real pillar of the community one day, I'm sure. If me missus and me was to have a child, I'd be real happy if she turned out like her. But she can't have kids. Dr. Lemaitre said so, and she knows about such things. Been a doctor for almost 50 years she has.
Law school? Could she be talking about the union fixer, aka the gardener?
Looks like it.
I'm not sure what a fixer is, but she is a real nice girl. Smart as a whip too. Oh yes, yes. I leave all kinds of notes for myself. That old head of mine ain't so good at keeping things in no more. I almost forgot about the borscht. Oh yes, I've been taking special whirling borscht to the men every day since the strike started. It's very, very good. Makes a man feel so warm and happy. I feel like I could take on Mr. Renadan's boar dogs every time the lunch is done.
Power borscht, huh? Never heard of a borscht that turns little guys into dogfighters. Alcohol, however.
Yes, yes. I'm taking it to them. The borscht keeps them happy and in fighting spirits. Makes you all warm inside. They brew it in the whirling in rags. Oh, the whirling's cook. He makes it. Them is always talking with Mr. Manana in that weird language and laughing together. He doesn't speak what we speak. He's from Grad. Oh, sure, mister. Sure. You do that. Yes, sir.
He didn't actually understand what you meant, and now he's just nodding along.
Oh, that one. That should be empty as far as I know. Lots of containers here have nothing in them. They're just waiting to be loaded up. Oh, you want Mr. Everett then? He's an awfully nice fellow, he is. Him and his brother are both nice fellows. They've lived their entire lives in this here neighborhood. Guys like Mr. Everett and Mr. Edgar, his brother, are real good guys. Made Martinez what it is today. Mr. Everett and Mr. Edgar and I went to the same school we did when we were boys. Oh, Mr. Everett is where he always is. In his office, of course. Bye-bye now.
Lonesome, long way home. Here we go. Home awaits. Walk past Station 41 and through the market, past the Boogie Street spearhead to the other side of the lake, the frozen eye at the center of the district. Then past the video rental store on the corner. There, at the end of a street lined with pine trees, a small house no larger than a matchbox. 11 Voyager Road. You no longer live there. Those times are gone. And so are those people. Why did you come here? Why are you still here? And where's the dealer? You have to get back to work. That's all you have now. interesting control panel with several knobs. 2 buttons marked marche and arrête. Marche. On. Arrête. Off. With a loud grind, the crane shifts overhead, moving a massive metal container through the air. With a surprisingly quiet thunk, the crane places the container down. The harbor sleeps as the strike rages in the distance. The crane can rest again, now that its purpose has been fulfilled. Moving this container, of course. For this purpose it was built. For this purpose it has acted, and now it will rest.
I can't see how that was worth the wreckers, except for seeing the crane in action, which I admit was satisfying.
Before you stands a cargo container, just one of many in the yard.
You do? Because I don't. There are a million containers here. Why are you fixating on this one? There may very well be, but we are not here to look for that. We are not here to interact with containers. We are here to get the body down from the tree.
You attempt to turn the handle, to no avail. The doors seem to be mechanically locked. To your left, the lieutenant considers your actions with some puzzlement. No reply. The knock produces a hollow ring of metal. Doesn't sound like there's anything inside the container. No reply. The knock produces a hollow ring of metal. Doesn't sound like there's anything inside the container. Before you is a walrus of a man seated behind a large desk. He looks up from his work, not the least bit surprised to see you. With great effort, he straightens himself up in his chair, yet says nothing. He simply stares at you.
Welcome, Mr. Dubois, Mr. Kitsuragi. It's good of you two to stop by. Please, have a seat. I'm Everard Clare, head of the Debarders Union here in Martinez. I'd offer you my hand, but unfortunately my health prevents me from getting up. You understand?
He looks extremely comfortable. The tiny folding chair, on the other hand, looks like a torture device.
You go ahead, detective.
Whatever he has in store for you, it can't be good, he thinks. I'll do my best. Forget about that. What's with this Dubois stuff? You're getting some seriously bad vibes from that name.
Please, Mr. Dubois, let us converse in a civilized manner, as equals. Take a seat. I insist. Excellent, Mr. Dubois. I can see that you are a reasonable man, and reasonable men can be of great use to one another. So tell me, how can the head of the Debarders Union help a representative of the Revachol Citizens Militia today?
The chair you're sitting on has got to be the most uncomfortable chair in the world. It's violating your backside.
Oh, by the way, I heard you got a rather rude reception from a certain Lawrence Gart. Some people have no manners, it pains me to say. This should take care of that nonsense. It should be sufficient to cover your expenses for a few days and patch over your differences with a cafeteria manager. Go ahead, take it.
Wow, that's 25 real. That's good money. You need it.
Yes, I know Lawrence. He's a real character. No union man in him. A real piece of work, that boy is.
With a grin, he points to the checker game. It's like you're on a game show. At least don't thank him for it.
Okay, okay. I respect a man with principles. No handouts, then. Now, I'd like to set your mind at ease about one other matter. Your lost gun. Let me assure you, Union people are on it as we speak. I've got my best hounds looking for that lost gun.
His slug-like lips move, but all you hear is an echo. Lost gun, lost gun, lost gun. The world is swallowed by a black hole of fear. Only two words escape its gravitational pull. Lost and gun. When he said, "Don't worry," he actually meant, be very worried.
I know everything, Harry. Right now, I know that you're worried. Don't be worried. Everything's going to be all right. It's not like you left it loaded. You didn't lose a loaded gun. Local children aren't out there playing with it right now, pointing it into their own mouths. It's in a safe place. I just know it. I have a feeling everything's going to be all right.
It was loaded. There were 2 bullets in it. You always keep at least 2 barrels loaded.
Officer, we will deal with this later. We don't need Mr. Clare's help with this.
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
Officer, we will deal with this later. We don't need Mr. Clare's help with this.
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
Who does this guy think you are? Ronnie the Rookie? You ain't worried about no lost gun, or unpaid bill, or forgotten name. You're the bad cop. You're probably more corrupt than him. The fat man does the same, sinking deeper into his chair than one would think is physically possible. He seems to be enjoying your little display. Good. Now lean in with some corruption.
That we do, Harry. Let them say what they will about you and me. We're both born fighters. Why, thank you. It's always nice when a fellow professional appreciates your work.
That's it. Now kick back and add a final flourish for dignity.
You strike me as a reasonable man, Harry. I like that in a law man. Let's cut to the chase, shall we? What can Everard Clare do for you?
I think we'd like to ask you a few questions. Don't you think so, Detective?
Somehow you managed to get yourself out of this one. Now quick, keep the momentum up. Ask questions.
What? Harry, how could you say that to me? You know I appreciate a joke as much as any jolly fat guy, but I can't take slander. Are you actually investigating this?
The reaction appears to be sincere, but it's impossible to tell with this guy, honestly.
Harry, you wound me, Harry, in the heart. But I trust you to put this to bed. Do what you must, and let's change the subject, shall we?
Thank you for your understanding. We will continue to do what we must.
You too, Lieutenant. You know, I like you, but you never were my favorite. I'm a Harry guy. I'm Team Harry.
None taken. Did we have anything else to do here, Harry?
Ah, yes. Your side investigation. Thank you. You've got some spirit clearing up phony drug accusations alongside this murder. I'll talk to the mayor and see if I can get you the key to the city, Harry. Now let's talk real business. Harry, honestly, I'm just relieved you didn't get a hernia. A man your age...
The big man peers at you over the rims of his glasses for a moment, then interlaces his fingers and rests his chin on his hands.
Anyway, I assure you, I am a very well-informed man. Information reaches me before I even get the chance to request it. Of course, let us dispatch with the formalities. You call me Everard, I call you Harry. My God, so it's true. I didn't want to believe it, but you are a fantastic science fiction amnesiac cop, aren't you? What are the odds of that?
I think the odds of that are very low.
So good to hear that, Harry. Apparently my sources were wrong. However, if you did have a spot of memory trouble, I could help you out. With my big fat folder.
Words flow like a river of honey from his lips. It's just a brown folder. You can't make out what's written on it.
Are you trying to tell me you've gotten hold of some of our documents?
Mr. Kitsuragi, would you mind? Me and Harry are talking about his lost identity right now.
Don't just jump to the folder. That's not smart. Shows you're on the edge. Do some probing first. As you look at the folder, Everard covers it with his hand and pets it. He's hiding it from you because it's not a real RCM folder. It's just another one of those brown folders you saw in the file cabinet.
Okay, Harry, you got me. This is from the Census Bureau, not the RCM. Those Census Bureau people are absolutely corrupt. You should do something about them.
He got the name from the Census Bureau, and everything else from your actions here in Martinez.
Yes, Mr. Kitsuragi from the Census Bureau. Like I said, now I'm actually a very busy man, so is there anything else I can do for you, Harry?
That means he doesn't really know anything about you. A pity. The mystery of you will have to remain a mystery for the time being.
Yes, that's what I said. Try to keep up, okay? Let's move on. Yes, your lost gun. My best men are on it. They're turning every stone, searching every playground, asking kids, grandmas, everyone. Your gun will be found, Harry. Let me assure you of that. It's just a matter of time and effort.
The only way to find it seems to be working with him. He might even be holding your gun hostage. Who knows? Only one thing is certain. If you work with him, you're going to get it back. And working with him might be the only way to do it.
Damn it, Harry. That's exactly what it means. I'm only kidding, of course.
Of course. I understand. We help you, you help us.
Oh, of course. That's your main thing here. That's why you're in Martinez. I know everything that goes on around here, and I would love to help, like I'm helping you with your lost gun. I mean, it's no secret that the lynching is connected to the strike. So much to talk about. Honestly, it's been weighing on me so heavily. I understand you need to interview me. But there's a thing that's been keeping me up at night. I want to talk about the hanging. I mean, if we could just calmly talk, exchange information, we could blow this thing wide open.
Yes, that sounds good. Let's do that.
But I can't think straight with this thing weighing on me. You're police officers, aren't you? I have a crazy idea. You guys are basically door-opening machines, incredibly talented at opening doors. And I'm sure you're going to open this one with flying colors, Harry. This really is very simple, and there's nothing shady about it.
An excellent opportunity presents itself, sire. You could win the trust of the arch-liar, pretend to play into his hand. Then, should you wish, bend his efforts towards your own.
Harry, I'm a very busy man, and more importantly, I don't have that extraordinary physique you do. You look like you could run around all day.
You want to send someone a message that the police are working for you.
I repeat, I'm a very, very busy man, Mr. Kitsuragi, and therefore I must occasionally enlist outside help. So what will it be, Harry? Oh, no one's. It's just a weasel. A weasel lives there. Nothing for you to worry about. A loud blabbering weasel. When weasels feel no one is watching, they start acting foolishly. Just go there, unlock the door, and leave it open. It's been such a burden on me, Harry. I just want this to be over so I can discuss business with you. Harry, my dear friend, I am what people call a local bigwig. I know everything that goes on in Martinez. Fantastic, my friend. Just let me know when it's done and we can take our friendship to the next level. You can get the key from Manana. He's down by the gates. Manana's like a free agent in the Union. Special operations. Hardened socialist. A real free thinker too. He'll tell you precisely where the door is. One last thing, Harry. Just open the door. You don't need to go in or anything. I just want that weasel to come home and see the unlocked door. I don't know what that means, Harry. Shady brew. There are so many moving parts in my operation, I can't keep track of them all. You know what? Don't even tell me. Whatever it is, do it. Surprise me. Just one thing. If you can, make it even shadier.
He sincerely has no idea what you were talking about, and he doesn't care either.
Oh, that's very nice. I haven't gotten around to her yet. I'm very, very busy, you see. I hope you're getting along. One thing I want to make very clear, Harry, is that this is not some kind of union versus corporation situation. Everyone is just pals here. We're all trying to do what's best for Martinez. Don't feel like you can't cooperate with her because you and I are such good friends and I'm helping you find your lost gun. I'm not a jealous guy. What do you mean, Harry? Nothing. I let him go. He's an old man, Harry. I wanted him to spend more time with his family. God knows how long he's got left. Harry, I have little people in my organization. I would never call someone a midget. What is this? Honestly, I'm beginning to think you're a midget, Harry. I'm only kidding, Harry. You're not a midget. No one is. We're pals. Vanished? Harry, the woman left her casserole in the oven and couldn't make it here in time for the voting. Oh, did I leave my casserole on? Better go home and check. The election can wait. When she got back, the whole thing was over.
Wait, there was no mention of a casserole from Joyce.
Harry, Harry, Harry. Do not fixate on this little matter. Maybe it was a rabbit stew, or a hairdryer, or an iron. The point is, her heart wasn't in it. Mine was. If she actually wants to see me, she will find a way. Any good negotiator would. And I just don't have anything to discuss with a bad negotiator.
It's a fortress. He knows she can't get in here. He doesn't want to see her. It's as simple as that.
Of course, Harry. Let me just assure you one more time. It's perfectly okay to share anything we discuss here with this Joyce. This is a completely transparent organization. I have no interest in what she is doing, but I myself have nothing to hide. Your business is your business, and I respect your privacy. Just remember, none of this is secret. Tell her about all of it. My brother's picture, my singing swordfish clock. Tell her how overweight I am and how I'm helping you find your lost gun. Tell her about everything. Everett doesn't mind.
It is rather interesting to tell people things about each other, isn't it? It was nice telling him about her right now.
My dear Harry, there are literally millions of containers in this harbor. I couldn't possibly remember what's in all of them. Harry, you smooth-talking son of a bitch. Time is a precious resource, and I don't have enough of it to count containers with you.
Smooth talking. Maybe that's the way to go about opening the container. You should at least try convincing it.
You might have noticed there's one hanging on a tree behind the hostel cafeteria.
Oh my. Don't take this question personally, but why would I get involved in this matter?
Mr. Clare, the man was hanged with a cargo belt, a steel-reinforced cargo belt. It's safe to assume the Union had something to do with the murder. Besides, getting the body down would benefit all of us. It's a stain on the neighborhood.
I can certainly see how having him up there might start affecting some real estate values. But of course, all joking aside, I am going to help you. Jean-Luc, my boy, I'm sending 2 police officers down. They have a dead body in a tree problem they need help with. Namely, they need it to be taken down. And, Jean, please take it easy with the race science. He's had enough of that. You can find Jean-Luc down at the gates, but you already knew that. Anyway, he's going to help you. Wait. You need this to get in and out through the gate. Here, you're one of us now. A real red and white Union man. Take care, Harry.
before the cargo container. It's
So, how'd you like our harbor? It's but a rest area on the path leading across open plains. Right, you talk to the boss, eye to eye, like men of the plain. If you have any more questions, I'm set to talk. A key, huh? What door is this key supposed to open? Of course, I got you. You don't know anything. I got that key right here. And let me tell you, it's mighty good of you to help us out during the strike. Working class solidarity, as they say. I knew this man was a commie. And it's a good thing you're doing too. Thanks. What you're looking for is a basement door behind the greenhouse. That's behind the whirling in rags. That's all I know. Our organization is what you call compartmentalized. Means we keep out of each other's business.
Okay, but where did you get the key from?
The janitor gave it to me. Nice fella. We talked about life and things that really, truly matter. None of this mess we're in. This jiving and juggling. What's it for? To feed our children, I guess. I'm more of a philosophical dock worker, see. I like to talk about the big picture stuff. Who I am, who you are, what we are fighting for.
who he is and what they're fighting for. This is interesting.
Los Ardis? They're an independent militant group. A bit too high-strung, but it comes with the responsibility. They're sort of like you. Preserve the rule of law and all that. Except it's Everard's law. But really, they're just like you. We're negotiating our share. Aye.
The man whispers a jaunty tune. A coastal breeze ruffles his hair.
The mercenary, eh? Who could have killed him? That's indeed the question. Why even do such a thing?
The man whispers a jaunty tune. A coastal breeze ruffles his hair. Hey, psst. Psst. Hey, you. Yes, you. Word on the street is you're ready to start building communism again. Yes, you're ready to start building communism again. You've built it before. They've built it before. Hasn't really worked out yet, but neither has love. Should we just stop building love too? So, what about all that communism you've promised to build? Word on the street is you've woken up from 1,000 years of slumber promising to erect a version of communism many times greater than any attempted before. Is that true? You keep saying things like, down with the bourgeoisie, eat the rich, sodomize the landowners, impale all people who have more than 25 real in their pocket, literally murder all human beings regardless of their political beliefs. That kind of stuff. Oh yes, the mask of ambivalence. Don't deny it. You're about to rip it off and reveal the monstrous seven-eyed lamb of global communism that would devour and masticate mankind. Everyone can see that. So tell me, do you have any questions before we fire up the big communism builder? Or do we get right down to it? Failure. It's about failure. Yes, abject failure. Total, irreversible defeat on all fronts. Absolutely vanquished, beaten, curb-stomped and pissed on. Until you came along. You will reverse the fortune of the workers of the world. You alone, against every living thing, against every human alive. 800 trillion real in the hands of an impossibly well-organized ruling class. Towering city blocks of bankmen who have the ears of prime ministers. Million-headed armies of nations and the love of your own mother. You against the atom, the charm and the spin, where the whole world failed. Matter failed to bend to human will. Human will fail to get out of bed and tie its laces. You alone, single-handedly, will rebuild the dreams of the working class. You are the last communist. Now get to work, comrade. Oh yeah, get the firing squads and the animal wagons ready. Too late to back out now. You can't make an omelette without breaking a few million eggs. The unpromising race pupil returns. And look, babe. The rich man has humiliated and emasculated this couple. He can only think in base materialist categories and feminine abstractions like money.
Rich man really fucked him over, Jean.
His rage is already played out on the stage of history as the grotesque tragedy of revolution. All it can accomplish now is impotent academic text and neurosyphilitic rock and roll melancholia. You could have used this opportunity to overcome your narrow, Al-Rule ravaged identity. Instead of unlocking the race enigma, you attempted to add to it unsuccessfully. Take solace from the fact that these thoughts will never entirely leave your brain. They will be with you on the day you die. The only germ of heroism in your body. Now go. I have beauty and truth to discuss with my woman.
Damn, Jean. How are you so
does not so much as glance at the object.
Stop showing me your pathetic cup. I have no interest in it.
He had nothing to do with it.
I am not the first line of defense. I am the last. In addition, these so-called Hardy Boys are an effeminate clique of bodybuilders. Their company is spiritually degrading.
You pick up on something artificial in his tone, like he's putting on an act. This is unlike him. He is usually more himself.
The Hardy manlets are on the pay of the company. I answer to the union alone. And I do this out of race heroism. Finance is an alien concept to the Simonees. Now leave me be. I must luxuriate in the company of my woman. Fine. They have recently fallen under the influence of a possibly sexually perverted female vagrant and a narcotics peddler. It's shameful. Find out for yourself, endomorphic blub.
Interesting.
So it was. You surmounted the harbor wall in a display of athletic prowess to reach my superior, then had him give me an order. I salute your cunning, and I will remove the body from the tree with my bare hands.
You're so noble, Measurehead.
But while I am gone, someone must stand guard on the bridge. That someone needs to be you. Both of you.
This is the uncomfortable result of not taking it on ourselves. I can live with a compromise.
Listen to your little friend. He is wise in his childlike way. His mysterious race may yet prove fierce competition to my heroic haplogroup. Babe, see that they stay here the whole time.
The woman's gaze follows Measurehead as he leaves.
So, you guys are like cops or something? Have you ever thought that maybe things should go to shit? I'm Katya, by the way.
You hear that? That sound. He's breaking something.
Yeah, Jean-Luc must be really tearing it up over there. I wish I could see it.
Look at you! RCM rent-a-cops! Guarding that bridge like Everott's lapdogs! Is this where it's at now? The RCM is for sale!
Spoken by a mercenary pretending to be a worker.
A shrill laughter interrupts you, echoing across Martinez. It's Kuno. Then, the man turns to look behind him at the behemoth appearing around the corner, approaching him, walking past him.
The corpse has been removed from the tree. Stand down and congratulate yourself. You have sided with Ray's victory today. Farewell, ham sandwich. You are a Union man from now on.
missed a good show before. A kid came by and completely fucked the tree to pieces.
He fucked the tree up! Fucked it good! It was porno!
By the way, kipped is a racial slur.
Can't tell Kuno what words to use. Fucking kipped. Fuck you. Kuno says kipped if he wants to. Kuno's dad says kipped all the time. Kipped's a cool word.
Kipped, kipped, kippity, kippty, kipped. Kippity, kipped, 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 kipped.
It's like a little engine has come alive on the other side of the fence. An engine that only says kipped.
Kipped, kipped, kipped. Alright, shut it down, see. The cunt has business to do. You found Kuno's secret door to Kuno's secret shack. It was closed for 5,000 years. How the fuck did you get in? Pig, that's the past. You and Kuno are now. Let's talk about how you opened the secret door, fucking at Kuno's kingdom. And then what? You fucking there. You fucking Kuno's kingdom.
He's trying to fuck at you again, Kuno!
Oh, that? Kuno decapitates pigs. That's just a Kuno demo tape. Yeah, to the both of you, watch your ass in Kuno's town, or Kuno's gonna fuck your head off. That's where Kuno gets his daily hit of electric. Kuno Shazam. Kuno rides the fucking lightning in there, pig.
Bet you'd like to ride the lightning too, wouldn't you? You feel tired and old, but you could have that sparkle in your eyes.
It's a vitamin, pig. Don't you know anything?
You could use some.
Yeah, it's the mag. You fucking need that shit to stay on top of your game. Kuno goes through like a tube a day, rips mag like a motherfucker, and you could use a battle.
Oh, don't teach him, Kuno! He's gonna use it against you, Kuno!
You're not getting this, pig. It completely takes away the hangover. It's like you didn't do anything. Like you stayed home playing with your choo-choo.
Fuck you, pig! Don't do mag! You're gonna OD and you're gonna fucking die!
Good call, Pigmeister. Don't come and talk to Kuno about his kingdom. The fuck do you want with it? Good call, Pigmeister. Don't come and talk to Kuno about his kingdom. Kuno doesn't fucking care.
Hear that? Magnesium. That's what you're lacking. The lack of magnesium has you slouched. The magnesium levels in your blood are dangerously low. It's about the low magnesium levels and not the high alcohol levels. Yes, and it's critical. Look at yourself. You're practically devolving into a fish due to the lack of magnesium in your bloodstream. You need to get so magged up. You've probably had 2 heart attacks and a minor stroke already, and the only prescription is insane amounts of magnesium. Yes, if you want to live, you need to evolve. You need to transcend the carbon barrier. Go to the apothecary and buy insane amounts of magnesium. It will reverse the damage to your circulatory system. Just remember, it's not the alcohol. Buy more of that too. Alcohol is not the problem. And it's certainly not the dextroamphetamine. nor smoking for 40 years. It's the lack of magnesium and excess of coffee. You should stop drinking coffee. It wreaks havoc on your gastrointestinal system. The corpse lies on the ground among the remains of an absolutely demolished pinewood branch. It's gently laid on one side.
Mr. Measurehead has done a good job. Nothing is too broken or compromised. The victim is ready for a field autopsy. Yes. 1. Investigation of the scene. 2. Initial examination of the victim. 3. Field autopsy. 4. Transportation of the body to the morgue. We are on number 3.
The fuck are they on about?
Cop's gonna cut his shit up!
No, you and I are detectives. The honorary rank of detective signifies our ability to handle the entire incident chain, from autopsy to cleanup to social work, everything. An honor and a burden attached to your rank once you've proven yourself able, usually after 5 to 8 years of field work. Mine is Lieutenant Detective. You are. Your station would not have assigned you on this case if you weren't. Now,
The lieutenant adjusts his glasses and takes a deep breath.
I'm gone. Into the wild pale yonder. In the past, way out in the west. I'm a joke. Look at me. There is nothing funny about jokes either. A killer, a motherfucker, and a killer. Go ahead, Coppo. What do you mean? It's the power of your imagination. Go ahead. Ask me more questions. You fucking love questions. Because you're a copperoonie. Look at all of them go. Do you want more questions? Here you go, you loony. Fuck no. You're no Rooney. No, you're not a Harry either. You're a motherfucker. That's who you are. Rooney the motherfucker. Because you have. Do I remind you of someone? Sure I do. You just don't want to admit it. Come back later, Corpo. Amuse yourself with my frank manners and my memento mori features. If possible, also, see me in your dreams. Shoot, Looney Rooney. Come back later, Corpo. Amuse yourself with my frank manners and my memento mori features. If possible, also, see me in your dreams.
come on, officer. You know what a field autopsy is. You've done 100 of them. Unfortunately, no. They are better than nothing. Tell you what, I perform the anatomical side of things while you will take notes. That's right.
The dead man stares in silence as you crack open the ledger. The bright red paper is covered in boxes and lists, descriptions describing the condition of his skin and organs in 3 parts. Above those, an 11-field info form needs filling out first. It begins with,
That's you.
The corpse is indifferent to your scribblings, just lies there. The next box says,
KK57 0803.0815.
KK equals Kim Kitsuragi. 57 equals Precinct 57, followed by his date 0803 and time of arrival 0815 on the scene. He's indexed the case after himself, not you.
Next. We've heard the nom de guerre, Lely. It's better than nothing. Write it down. What's next? Date of birth? NA. Roughly 50.
The corpse looks ageless, like meat on a hook.
Mondial.
The pudgy mess of curdled meat looks neither mondial nor anything other.
Fucky, fucky!
Male.
Pigs can have sex!
Nor does he look male, with his pregnant belly and indistinguishable face.
We're still going with March 4th, 51. What else? 9. Body identified by is non-applicable. 10. Case number is the same as the coroner's case.
KK 57 0503 0815 listens motionless, with the cargo belt still around his neck. Only one box remains.
None, at least not after the initial examination. Interfering with the body's position or wounds post-mortem. They'd have to have incapacitated and carried him over. This man was more than a match for untrained dogwalkers.
Your central nervous system recognizes this gesture. It's the stations of the breath. Ecclesiastic, religious in nature, a holdout from pre-Delorian burial rites. It takes him 2 seconds to perform. Then, somewhere in Jamrock North, a small wood shed behind Rosenkrantz Row, Lieutenant Nick Feuerbach puts his hand to the chest of a small corpse, no larger than a monkey. It's raining outside, light drizzle. There is darkness in the shed. Elsewhere yet, an obese female sits in a wicker chair, her silhouette bull-like against the window. Outside, Grand Coudon. The day is turning dim for Sergeant Mac Dawson. Hand extended, he approaches, to make sure she is dead more than anything else. The building is tall, 7 stories wind-wrapped in solitude. Most of the apartments are unoccupied. This was a suicide, the other an accident, the small one. And so, all across Jamrock, Coal City, GRIH. 42 deceased persons found today. 42 stations of breath.
We should start the post-mortem.
The corpse cannot feel Kim's hand on his chest. It no longer meaningfully interacts with its surroundings. A thicket of boxes and lists on red copy paper tries to answer why.
Clothes. The deceased wears armored boots and white briefs. The make of the briefs is Babrodin, I think. Let's see.
See, it's happening.
Babrodin, yes. Inexpensive. Size M. Color white.
The disappointment is palpable. The red-haired thing was expecting something more lurid.
The rest of the clothes have been removed post-mortem by scavengers in order to get to the victim's ceramic armor. Officers are in search of the missing pieces. Removal of the boots is left for processing.
It would be clever of you to omit the boots altogether, sire. If you are to keep them for yourself, as you ought to, you have deserved them more than anyone else.
The boot has a serial number. It's E50.100.100. The lines between the plates are in the shape of the alphanumerical. The number is purposefully concealed by the design. Tattoos. The upper torso is covered in a single, continuous tattoo, resembling a map of the night sky. It reaches from the right shoulder to the heart. The ink is blue and white. The assistant has a color photograph of the markings, to be added to the case files as document A1. The photo is taken on the scene, using a Trigat Mini. The deceased has a cargo lashing belt around his neck, tied with a hangman's knot. Color yellow. Length 3 meters. There is a buckle on the other end. Well-nourished, athletically built, measuring 1.8 meters. Generally consistent with age, about 50. Preservation is good. Ambient temperature below freezing. Body hair is light brown. Distribution is consistent with age. The deceased had male pattern baldness. Hair is combed back, short. Lividity is consistent with hanging. The head is congested. Contusions are present on the head, chest, and thighs, consistent with stones thrown post-mortem. Low velocity.
Fucking low velocity? You think Kuno doesn't know what you're talking about? Velocity was fucking max. Talking shit about Kuno's velocity.
In addition, there are bite marks on the face, scalp, and chest, consistent with predation. Ligature mark. The steel wiring. There's too much of it. We need to remove the belt so we can get to the ligature mark.
You got just the right tool for that. The chain cutters.
Always good to think ahead. Now, we need to cut the belt to see the ligature mark below. Carefully, with as much precision as you can.
See, my pig is gonna fuck his head off.
No, he ain't. Your pig's a boring fuck.
The belt is equally tight around the whole circumference of his neck, swelling over the edges like white bread rising from the yeast. You jam the cutters right under the knot. That seems like a smart idea. Yeah, somewhere there. Already they're buried deep in the man's flesh. Then you rotate them to get a better hold. Then a really, really bad smell is coming from there now, and some kind of cracking sound.
pig was hardcore.
I should have a go first. I think I have a strategy.
He sinks the cutters into the knot, preparing to perform the cuts, with his elbow to his knee for precision. Snap. The knot is slashed. Another cut and the belt falls apart like a flower bouquet, revealing the dead man's neck and the dark red ligature mark around it.
Here. The rope rises to a point, leaving a gap in the ligature mark. The suspension point is in the back of the neck, on the nape. Hemorrhaging is observed on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. The mark is well pronounced, consistent with a drop from 1 or 1.5 meters. Chest is intact, normal contour. Abdomen is protuberant, pelvis intact, genitalia.
No! Let's get out and see!
I fucking knew it!
Genitalia is male and unremarkable. No evidence of injury.
The dead man's penis is average-sized, congested from the downward collection of blood. The testicles are uneven in length, hanging underneath. The genitalia is greenish. Marbling is present around the crotch. You should touch it.
Back is symmetrical and intact. Upper and lower extremities are intact, but asymmetrical. There are combat injuries on the right hand, thigh, and hip. In addition, I see smaller, residual scars, too numerous to count, covering about 30% of his skin. Last item, hands. Hands are clean, no sign of a recent struggle. Ooh, that's all for the external. Well done. What next? Central nervous system. I have nothing. Do you have anything on this man's central nervous system?
Of course, there is a moral to be drawn from it. A moral to this story.
Musculoskeletal. Purge fluid is coming from the mouth. Not injury related. Eyes and tongue protuberant. Hyoid bone. Let's see.
With his eyes almost closed, the lieutenant puts his hand on the dead man's throat and begins to massage it, gently. A rotting smell erupts from the mouth. Purge fluid runs down his lips, black and viscous. You hear cracks as the lieutenant moves his sharp fingers inside the flesh, like the creaking of an old house at night.
Yeah, jack that fucker off!
The hyoid bone is fractured. The rest of the musculoskeletal system is intact. Unremarkable. Respiratory system. Oral cavity shows no lesions. The victim has received dental implants, possibly after a combat wound. Mouth swollen. Hemorrhaging present in mucosa of the lips and mouth.
No scream. No sigh of relief rises from the darkness inside. It's humid there. Sickly sweet air, unlike anything living. You feel like you're about to throw up again, straight in that mouth of his.
Hepatobiliary, NA. Are you a hepatobiliary expert? Same for toxicology and serology, NA. Cardiovascular. The body exhibits heavy lividity. Blood has gathered in the hands, feet, and neck. Hypostasis is visually consistent with the hanging. Gastrointestinal.
This will do.
Digested semi-solid food in stomach. Voila. What's next on the list? Let's see. We have bite marks, contusions on the head and chest, and a ligature mark encircling the neck. You'll need 3 fields. Leave a 4th one too.
Be thorough if you want maximum results.
Oh, so we inflicted them? Okay, so there's an incision on the thorax from a chain cutter. I wouldn't mention it. Better not to muddy the waters. Injuries. Head, chest and scalp bite mark injuries. Predation by birds has caused damage to the body. Odontologist does not need to be consulted. And your opinion, officer? Agreed. Next injury? So, the scalp bleeds from a post-mortem head injury, a stone. The injury does not have the rim of an early inflammatory response. The perpetrator on the scene has confessed to causing it post-mortem.
At maximum velocity, fucko!
Has confessed to causing it at maximum velocity.
Coagulated blood sticks to his scalp and chest, where the countless stones have hit the dead man. Beneath, the description of injury. 2 boxes.
Right. Next. A dark red abraded ligature mark encircling the neck, with a gap on the nape measuring, let's say, 7 centimeters. The hyoid bone is fractured, the cervical column intact. I see hemorrhaging on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. Depth of the mark, 1 centimeter. No signs of clawing on the neck.
Below the note, 2 customary boxes wait to be ticked. The man's head jerks to the side. The ring around his neck is visible. Think for a moment. There's time. Don't rush.
That's it. We have established cause of death. It's not much, and it leaves much to be questioned, but it's a start. Let's wrap this up. I pronounce this field autopsy over. I need a copy of that autopsy form. Then I will drive him to Faubourg for processing.
You tilt your head, also looking at the corpse.
Okay. I need a little help for carrying him to the holding pen of my kinema. I can take care of the rest.
There go those beautiful enamel boots. You will never own the full set now. May they rest in processing.
Continue working here. The locals, the case, or attend to your own business. I will meet you downstairs in the Whirling in Rags tomorrow morning, 7:30 sharp.
This means Lieutenant Kitsuragi will leave the party until tomorrow morning. You're free to do side tasks and even the main case, though it might be more difficult. If you have nothing to do, read books or sit on the bench on the plaza.
The man ponders his cooking utensils and gives you a little nod, acknowledging your presence. The mention of mañana gets his attention. He smiles and delivers a whole slew of unfamiliar words and lively gestures. Then he falls silent again. The man says a couple of sentences in that strange language of his and then seems to wait for you to speak. Just one word. Sounds quizzical. Then he awaits your answer with his brow arched.
Horse need more vodka?
Of course, vodka. Now that makes a very, very special borscht indeed. Turn it up and then ask for some yourself. Turning it up seems like a dangerous idea. Honestly, the place is a powder keg. The cook gives you a long, disappointed look, then turns the stove off and seems to wait for you to speak. You see a heavy steel door with a prominent dimple lock. It's painted blue. The door does not budge.
Yes? Hello? Me? No one. I'm just a working class woman.
She doesn't really want to be disturbed that much. If she's such a working class woman, why isn't she working? Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here. This must be it. The basement door is weather-worn. The copper nails holding the upholstery in place have turned green from sea air, and there's a knocker shaped like a lion's head. You knock silently. The upholstery muffles the sound. No response comes from the apartment. You're pretty sure the owner of the apartment isn't here. It's safeish. The leather upholstery is worn and rough against your jaw. You don't hear any movement. In fact, it's oddly silent in the yard around you. No birds chirp. You try to be as silent as you can. It takes a bit of rattling of the handle to loosen the bolt. Finally, the door unlocks with a small clack. Thoughts race through your head. There might be important information in the apartment. I mean, there might. As you hold the open door, you can feel the air moving. A little draft, a whistle. A row of mugs sits on the shelf. Each one depicts a human figure. A dark-skinned woman grinning amidst mysterious symbols. A broad-shouldered man shoveling potatoes, and others. A little ring. Though cheerful, the images on the ceramic make you vaguely uncomfortable. There's something disdainful in the way the curves and lines of the bodies were drawn. It looks like the artist is celebrating diversity, but underneath he's just making fun of these people. Of course, you slippery bastard. Yes, your broken mug friend would feel very much at home here. The same humor, the same mocking lines. The owner of this collection could be dumping his trash in the whirling's container. An interesting little clue. Let's see where this goes. Clues have a way of magically connecting to other clues down the road. Perhaps you should break into apartments more often. Who knows? Could be. But this clothes in a trash lead doesn't really seem like it's going anywhere. Still, good thing to keep in mind. You could ask Everard who this person is once you're done here. This is the flag of Revachol, the suzerainty. This isn't just one sun, but there are little suns dancing around the big sun. This is the sevenfold sun miracle. It's an optical atmospheric anomaly the first settlers saw. Happens in cold weather. 6 small suns around the big one. This complex halo phenomena is how old Revachol got its flag. The flag doesn't seem to mind. It's just a colourful fabric with a sun sewn onto it. Like all feudal flags, it looks like a children's drawing.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? You have? And how did you like Mr. Clare? Of course. He must have his practical uses. How else could he have kept his position all these years? Or wait, actually, he could have kept it with corruption. Fantastic, worm-like corruption that reaches into the bowels of the earth. Of course, I don't expect you to share anything he told you with me. I'm not a worm myself. But how could I stop you? Are we not human? Are we not curious to hear another person's take? It's only natural. We would only be gossiping.
Intellectually speaking, it would be quite interesting to hear what she has to say about these things. Tell her she'll like you for it.
Of course, Detective. Should something come up later down the road, don't be afraid to drop by for a chat. Until then, is there anything I can help you with? This reality?
Yes, reality is your side case. An experimental side case.
How truly curious. A sort of philosopher detective. A deep synthesis. I'll assist you however I can then. Go ahead. Ask.
All right, we're in. I know these all look good, but begin with the first, okay?
We're in Martinez, baby. Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour, north of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year. I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before, as a teenager. Not a lot has changed. There are ruins, a terminal, fishing boats, reeds, boys with boxy shoulders. This place used to be a province, a workers' resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its work. The reeds are the real star of the show here now. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets. It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol, and the bay feeds into the ocean. Yes, we're on an island in an ocean, the world's largest body of water, the Insulindic.
Vast, lukewarm and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight.
Caillou, as you already know. Imagine a pebble. A smoothed-over pebble amidst a great blue sea, misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the river Esperance. We're in the delta of this river, on the 6th branch, the Martinez distributary.
It is clear this pebble is of enormous value to her, and to humanity at large.
Revachol? Revachol is what you call a city. The great kind.
As if it's self-explanatory, beyond patriotism, a fact.
History detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least. Our centuries. The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Seminine and Ile Marat, depending on your creed. In the DeLorean century. 380 years ago. They say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. The tensions are highest, the fault lines deepest. By that I mean conflicts. Ideological conflicts. The stuff of men. We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people in the middle of the Insulindic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. It's where the money is. Oh, we're quite a way off. About...
A collection of tall ghosts behind the water vapor, light reflecting off their glass windows.
22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the bank of the world building. The bottom floors are Insiacom. Coalition government, Insulindian Mission Command.
Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light. It's as though you're seeing it for the first time. There is no recognition, only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it.
We are where we are. I have no truer answer to give, unfortunately.
This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you?
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown. These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late. For the big time. The revolution. It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle. Those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists, they all got shot in the head. Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well, one forgets they even existed. Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people. Yes, the Insulindian deluge, they call it. Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king. Just the king's nephew. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad. About head shooting, the liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything. Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective, or the remaining gentry, the beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the ultras, or ultra-liberals. They fared well. They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember?
We. She's one of them. Of course.
To foreign intervention, the coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights. The liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The coalition took the ground. The ocean, the laws, and the people. The Coalition of Nations, Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Sur-le-Clay, the armed center of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do. The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights, and not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government. This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist. Of course. Not easy to be moderate about head shooting in your line of work. The turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question. The revolution began in '02 on the Isla of Grad, though by the end nearly the whole world had gotten involved. It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Mazov came along and overthrew the government. It made people overthrow their governments. Of course not. It was a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark. From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in '08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end. Why? You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control.
Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar. Maybe it's because she has a boat and you have that necktie? A pair of pants?
A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the Coalition of Nations. And you, of course, the citizens' militia.
The clatter of typewriter keys fills the main hall of the reappropriated silk mill, Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door of an armored motor carriage.
The zone of control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the suzerain and the commune. Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-eastlery communication, telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade.
51 minus 8 equals 43.
Time flies. The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. '08 to '19 was simply hell. The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere. No, it was a market mirage fueled by cocaine and quantitative easing. The 40s dispelled it like a cold splash, an Isla-wide hangover, you might say. And here we are. Welcome to reality, baby.
For her to be where she is, Wild Pines Group must have picked the right side.
They picked the winning side. That's why they're here, and others are not. Perhaps it wouldn't have turned out that way had I been in charge. I might have bet on the king and led the Pines to doom. I would have sided with the cannons. If you'd seen the calibers of the things, you might have too. Perhaps it's better I was born when I was. 10 of the 14 Indo tribes got it wrong. Feld, Kupri, Tricentennial. So I suppose I would have been in good company. Good question. What would you have done differently? And I asked you, past-less detective of the Citizens Militia, what insight has acute encephalopathy given to you?
The cold runs down your spine as you say the words, like a small electric charge that seeks grounding.
I see. A tenth of humanity. The key of history is in the lock. Keep turning at any cost.
The wind stops, and for a moment, there's silence. The cold dissipates into your parietal lobe like a dissolved bullet. All is quiet on the Martinez Inlet. A dog barks. A gunshot echoes off the walls of some distant building. A woman's voice.
Capital is past.
Past? That's what de Breva, the leader of the communards, said, before she got a bullet in her head. Don't get me wrong. Capital is finished. But understand this. Its end won't free anyone. It will only lead to more suffering. They are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know?
Not so fast. Who is she in all this? Ask her who she is. She owes you an answer. She won't maneuver her way out of this one.
I am the vilest of the vile. A traitor, a devourer of nations and infants. I am an ultra.
She raises the corner of her mouth, smirking, revealing a canine.
An ultra-liberal. It's a type of liberal. From the revolution. It's, not the moderate kind. Haven't you heard? I am a nether creature of the Forbidden Swamp. One of those who pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution. We surrendered the nation to the financier pirates. No sane person identifies as an ultra-liberal anymore. Not in broad daylight. You're a man of the left. A true communard. Tell me, now that I've uncoiled myself, are you repulsed?
In her green eyes you see a mixture of truth and self-satire. Decades of guilt and pride.
A fitting punishment. To be forgotten, if not forgiven. Save a prayer for us in our chateaus on Ozon and in Stella Maris. When the dust settled, the liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. This was all our last generation managed. With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinez a monument to the efficacy of its artillery.
While a gentle wind sweeps the streets in the rebuilt east, light drizzle washing it clean, lights go up and motor carriages circulate the tracks.
I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the Coalition. Not here in Martinez, and not in the Stella Maris or Delta Beachheads either. If not for my own sake.
She realizes her small, cold fists are clenched. She loosens them.
Then for my daughters. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isola down rather than let them have it.
Dark orange flames reflect in her green eyes. An oil fire on the ocean.
Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother and a wife. Now, shall we return to reality? A bird? A Svenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions? Ah! This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot. Or two. A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings, bâtiments. After les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course. Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off.
Splat, splat.
You could be wrong, but from here it appears as if she's running the brush across her throat in a soaring motion.
Wonderful.
It remains a mystery what you mean by this something close. This isn't about you. It's about reality.
The girl in the old lady rags. Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture. Yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant, those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture. Young people who dye their hair funny colors and wear old people's clothes are stupid. And their little rebellion is self-defeating. All right, what next?
Suddenly, you're not so sure you're part of the supraculture.
And what would that be? Ah, yes. That is what counts, I suppose. For my part, I was more of a new girl. The new, a cultural era, and the name of the decade it ravished, the 30s. It came out of post-revolutionary Revachol. It was ultra-liberal. It involved lots of partying, as you might imagine, and champagne-coloured everything. By the looks of it, that would have been when you came of age. Now, Maximum Brio, officer. Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else?
Wow, you work hard. Oh, yes, you hustle. You're a provider. It's tough out there, but you keep it real and provide. Look at yourself. You're a human pedometer. You must have walked 200,000 steps down cracked asphalt, mosaic, sand, and linoleum after you re-emerged. That is the sign of a hustler who never gives up. The world is harsh and people are evil. You didn't make it that way, and you won't let it break you. You ride. Oh, you do. You make money. You got gills, baby. Meaning those black papers with the faces of the innocents on them. You bring in the Franco Negros and the Solas. It ain't easy, but you do it. Day in and day out. You didn't make the rules, but you won't lose. You're a cop and a sprinter and a money printer. Sure. And has it been easy? Is life easy? Have you not gone into cardiac arrest? Are you not about to have an anxiety attack or shoot yourself in the mouth? But you still hustle 24/7, ride or die. Now, ask yourself, are you rich? That's right. You work harder than anyone. You almost rode yourself to the grave and you're still practically a hobo. Why is that? Because of the taxes. G-Man's got his jam-covered sticky fingers in your pocket, stealing from you every time you buy, sell, walk, talk, fart, so much as sneeze. Every time you wipe your ass, they got their direct and their indirect modes of taxation. Sales tax, excise duty, extraction tax, alimony, one tax that doesn't even have a name. Plus there's the stuff people in other countries pay for that makes them ask for more money from you. Here, total tax duties add up to 98% of all your money. What are you not sure about? They're milking your nipples till they bleed. Can't you see? Aren't you sick and tired of having bloody nipples? What are you, a racist? Don't be a racist. Be a cool immigrant, ultra-liberal free market advocate. Ride or die. Keep it street.
Mr. Dubois, every worker... That's right, Mr. Dubois. I see the socialist democratic fervor now burns in your heart, too. How can I help you today? What? Did I? Well done then, Harry. I like not knowing about it, and I'm sure you made the right call. I spend the whole day delegating tasks, and it's a great relief to see people taking initiative. I don't even want to know what all of that means. Brew, shady, alcohol, turned off. I'm going to let the world surprise me. I'm very glad to hear that, Harry. One question. You didn't actually happen to stumble in and see what's inside the apartment, did you?
He's trying to figure out if you're lying.
Just as I thought. Culturally antiquated mug collection. What a weasel. Pissing on Everart's Rainbow Coalition.
He was testing you, and you succeeded.
Now let's get down to brass tacks. It's time for men like me and you to figure out who's killed who and why. Real police work is gonna start happening now. I promise you, Harry, this is gonna be good. Racist mugs in the trash and in the apartment? You guys are just light years ahead of me. I have so much confidence in the ability of your organization. I'm relieved you're doing this and leaving me to do what I do best. Helping people. With the power of politics. Oh, no. I don't cross paths like that. All I want is for you to succeed in your investigation. I would never complicate things for you.
Oddly, it seems to be true.
Believe me, Harry, he's a nobody. Just your basement variety nobody. Can't imagine him being connected to a high-caliber case like this. But he does live nearby. Maybe it's a pedantic weasel. Fascists are known to be neat freaks. I feel like a real detective right now, Harry. Am I getting this right? Of course, Harry. Stoic silence. I like that. Very befitting a police officer. I'm not a real detective. You are. By now, I'm sure you've figured out who the dead man was working for. The bad guys. Wild Pines. Sent to scare us. Another violent measure of the top hats against us flatcaps. Harry, this strike is the culmination of many, many mistakes made by the Wild Pines group. They tried to shut the strike down by sending in armed mercenaries. A security contractor? Can you imagine that? Workers standing in peaceful protest, united in the spirit of fellowship, and they send hired killers to mow us down with machine gun fire?
He performs a motion as if spraying bullets from a machine gun.
I'm talking beasts, hardened killers from proxy wars in Yisut, Semenine, Saramaritsa, you name it, they've done it. Raping, killing, burning villages, killing little children for the Senorita Pineapple Company, Harry. Everything they did there, they brought over here. They want to turn Revachol into a third world slum. Honestly, the only thing they didn't do is kill the village elephant. Now, I haven't personally witnessed the brutalities out there. I have the luxury of staying in my container, you see. If I need to go somewhere, they just move my container. Yes, I'm an old man, Harry. My legs aren't what they used to be. They lift my office with that big crane. It's actually very fun. You should try it. But enough about me and my fun container. The killers the company hired, I think there were 3 of them, all hardened commando types. One of them got downright suicidal, getting drunk, violent, a little rapey. Even their own negotiator couldn't control him. That's your boy, the one who likes hanging out and trees. Harry, what you need to realize is, we dock workers are not pushovers. We got grit, Harry. This whole neighborhood does. Push us hard enough and we push back. And when we do, we push to kill. Potentially, Harry, potentially. We got arm wrestling champions, rowing club people, ex-coal miners, tough guys, all ready to spring into action for their home base. There's a militant wing inside the Union, a group of people whose duties don't involve manual labor, but peacekeeping in the neighborhood, making sure everything runs smoothly.
That sounds a bit like organized crime.
They're like you. Idealistic people who want to make sure that bad things don't happen. And if they already have, well, punishment must follow.
Again, that sounds like organized crime.
One day Titus Hardy, leader of this peacekeeping faction, comes up to me and says, "Boss, socialist democratic fervor drove us to take it upon ourselves to kill this beast that was burdening the land." He probably worded it differently, but that was the idea. Sure sounded to me like they killed him. I gave them 2 weeks paid leave and told them to lay low to avoid retaliation. Oh, I'm not at all worried about that. These are not the kind of men who get arrested. They're Martinez boys, tough and gritty. I'd like to see the man who takes them in. Besides, I sent my lawyer girl to look after them.
He places a lot of faith in that lawyer girl. Perhaps this is a tactical error? Anyway.
How do I know? Let me tell you about these people. That's their MO. It's what they do. Last winter, some poor workers in Terminal E went on a little strike. The company sent in Sediment, a security contractor. The strike was over the workers' right to wear protective footwear, Harry. These guys turn up and start beating people. Tell you what, Harry, I wouldn't be surprised if we got the same mercenary company after a little rebranding. And I'm sure as hell not surprised to see an army of scabs under my gates. You said it, Harry. Hell, one of those guys looks big enough to take down that proverbial elephant. Boys like that don't just happen to show up during strikes. Of course, you're always one step ahead of me, Harry. I'm no genius. I'm in this position because people like me. Tribunal? That sounds serious, Harry. We Union men should be shitting ourselves. I wish you hadn't told me that. I'm gonna lose sleep over this. Let's change the subject.
He's clearly happy about the tribunal.
Oh, Harry, what do I really think about the tribunal? You're trying to climb to second base with old Everett before you've even courted him properly.
He wants you to do more things for him before.
Oh, Liz is a bright one. I paid for that law degree myself, thinking it'll probably turn her all fancy. But hell, Harry, she came back a firebrand socialist. Sometimes she scares me with her zeal. Oh, they are simply fine young men, all 7 of them. Exemplary union members, always working to advance their position in the local socialist democratic movement. Core members. Old Theo used to run them, but things really kicked into gear when Titus took the reins and named the group after himself. Gotta love his initiative. Harry, they're almost all of them great guys, born leaders. Whatever happened, I'm sure they only had the best interests of Revachol in mind. Work with them. Hell, interview them. But don't fight them. They really are just like you. Men who like beer, women, and some order on the streets. But of course, it's the least I can do for my good friend Harry. I'll do it right after we've concluded this talk.
You can now go and tell Titus about this. See what he has to say.
Also, Harry, here's 5 real. I'm not giving you anything. I'm just holding out 5 real. Oh, I wasn't offering it to you, just holding it out there. But I'm willing to share information. Was there anything else? Was it a good talk? I'm not sure we made much headway here. I was hoping we'd bust the case wide open. Heck, I even wanted to tell you what I really want to achieve with the strike. I don't know what happened, Harry. I wanted you to feel like Mr. Martinez. And of course, I also wanted you to find your gun. But it's like I can't completely trust you. Yet. Yes, Harry. It's like I can't fully trust you if you're not a man of the left. I want to, but I just can't.
A man of the left, so you have to be a social democrat. He's been hurt too much in the past by men who aren't social democrats.
What does your heart tell you about your lost gun, Harry? Does it tell you to forget about it? Or do you think it wants to be found? I think it's lonely and cold. I think it wants to be found, and I have a proposal for you. Once again, I require nothing unethical or illegal of you. You just need to get 2 little signatures on this piece of paper, and then mail it to my accountant in La Delta. I'm glad you asked, Harry. The Union is going to build a modern youth centre in Martinez. It will be righteous. We're gonna get those teenagers off drugs and on roller skates. There's a nameless little street on the coast with some old houses around it. Most people have already signed. I just need 2 more signatures to get this mission off the ground, Harry. On the coast, Harry, across the canal. There's a cul-de-sac there, a little village they're calling it. A gloomy place. You'll find it. I trust your detective skills, Harry.
Water drips from the eaves. A woman looks at her freshly tarred skiff. There's a pair of cavalry boots under the fish in the box, and the wind howls like a vicious spirit. You're already pretty deep into this. What's a little more? No one can see you here in Martinez.
They are just gonna have to deal with the construction noise for 6 months, and then they'll be living like kings. Right next to a fancy new youth centre, designed by the best architects from Stella Marie. You bring joy to my heart, Harry. Such a pleasure to be working with you. Here. You need to get signatures from Isabel Sadie and Lillian Carter. The cul-de-sac is right past the pawn shop and across the canal. I hear there is some trouble with the waterlock, but they should fix it by Wednesday morning. Once you have the signatures, mail this to 13022 La Rocca in La Delta. Then we can talk about your gun. Most certainly, Harry. Nothing brightens my day like brainstorming these things with you. By all means, Harry, what's on your mind? See you soon, Debardeur. Just kidding, but not too much.
What's this? We're getting reports of normal, reasonable, temperate political opinions somewhere in Martinez. The air suddenly feels calmer, more transparent in a strangely tender way. Perhaps it's the hangover. Perhaps it's a temporary surge of serotonin. But something tells you it's time to become a citizen of the kingdom of conscience. It is not a place. It is a moment in time that can only arise in the right circumstances. In all of human history, it's only been achieved a handful of times. Incrementally. Yawn. You'd get there faster with a little speed. History's greatest catastrophes have been brought about by people trying to make the world a better place. Too quickly. That's the genius of Dolores Day. She recognized that progress is meaningless if its gains are lost because of instability. Real, lasting change can only come about gradually, increment by increment. Tisk tisk, Just because you live in the present doesn't mean you have the right to place your needs above the needs of the future. You may never live to see the kingdom of conscience. Your children may not. Even your grandchildren might not. But that's no excuse not to keep working. What rationality? What sang-froid? What a fucking joke. Do you believe the status quo is preferable to chaos and bloodshed? There you have it. Sometimes holding the line is progress. The kingdom is difficult to comprehend and even more difficult to describe. Partly because humanity will need to discard many of the categories that define and limit it today. The kingdom of conscience is post-capitalist, post-national. It's also post-industrial, post-ideological, and even post-sexual. What you want is immaterial. The kingdom of conscience is coming, whether you like it or not, only very slowly. You take the legal documents out of the envelope, a 12 to 40 month construction period, and the zoning plan in the addendum. The youth center cuts into the ocean like the bow of some great modern ship. Apparently, it's going to cover most, if not all, of the street and the square between the existing houses. It's 3 stories tall. There doesn't seem to be anything of interest here. No fine print. You're smart. You can read. You take the legal documents out of the envelope. You take the legal documents out of the envelope. There is no loophole. The simple truth is, the current residents are going to lose their street access, and for the next 12 to 40 months, their lives will be dominated by constant construction noise right next door. Once the construction starts, it'll probably take a few months, a year maybe, for even the most stubborn occupants to get tired of living like this. After that, they'll sell their property for cheap and move out. Well, you could trick Everard. Get some random people to sign the document. By the time the union boss finds out, your business here will be already concluded.
unpromising race pupil returns.
Right to work! Right to work! Shame on you! Things are busy enough. You're going to waste less of my time?
The hulking man oozes stark skepticism.
Don't think so.
Suddenly, this feels like a really, really bad idea. Silence. He takes the photo. Grey eyes dart back and forth on the glossy surface. His face is unmoving. Hard as a stone, but beneath it.
Fucking loincloths. Really did him in. Yeah. What it means. I can tell you what this one means. Only one. Our colonel is deep in the bush here. Deep in the fucking bush. In Benital, 41. Monsoon season. He's on a reconnaissance mission. He spent a month behind enemy lines, scouting kipped villages. Nothing but fucking bugs and snakes for fun. Men are getting restless. There's talk of switching employers.
With some strange emotion, this is about to get really graphic. Last moment to back off.
Our boy, he's only a captain then, but he knows how these men think. If they don't see action soon. At dawn, he comes upon two kids, breeding in the bushes by the river. Or maybe they weren't breeding. Maybe they were just making eyes at each other. I like to think they were breeding. We shot the boy. He was useless, but the girl, she was nice. A little fat, you know, but not too old. She was quite the entertainment for the week she lasted. Expired in the hands of Sarge Mason, the kind of guy who'd make Chief there shit his pants and cry like a bitch. God, Mason couldn't let go. Cut the tits off her cold body and fucking ate them. Said primitive spirits were watching over him now. Drowned in a creek a week later. Spirits my ass.
Something stirs in your stomach. There's a word on the tip of your tongue. Colorless, odorless. It's...
No. I was in the domain. In Jamrock. Being a bouncer. You bet it was. It's just nature. This guy used to say evil is when nature and spirit meet in the wrong place. Go ahead. All right now. Free commerce! Keep the goods flowing! Free flow of commerce! Fucking bug. How about you fuck off now, huh?
The man's breathing steadies, but his eyes are still narrow. Slowly, he's trying to get his right-to-work dance back on. The tear machine stands in the corner. Your bottles clunk into the machine, and the money appears with a satisfying jingle. You're a richer man now.
It's you again. What is it? Oh, so you went and talked to my mommy, and now she's making me play with you. Is that it, lawman?
And what's gonna happen if we don't? You're gonna go and tell on us? You gonna let him talk to me like that, Titus?
Let's see. Yeah, I guess I am, you big pussy. The old man sent word you'd be around again. That's the reason I'm being so forthcoming with you. Don't wear it out.
As you look around this room full of sweaty men, swearing, drinking, spitting out tobacco, does this look familiar? You believe the place was called Precinct 41. It was also filled with, almost exclusively, men, sitting on desks, talking shit and wasting time.
Huh? You got a problem with beer now?
Not quite there yet. Push on.
Speak for yourself, buddy. I've been running this outfit for 10 years now. You should have seen Martinez before it started. It was like jam rock now.
They didn't see shit, man. Kids getting shot. We had 3 shootings a week. Fucking graffito everywhere. You cops haven't shown up since the 30s.
Actually, the graffitio isn't quite off yet, is it?
So what? What do you want from me? We took care of that fuck.
Don't let him drink that. One more push, quick.
Titus?
She stops mid-sentence. That's it. You got him. He's going to give it up, but on his terms.
You wanna help her, cop? Fine. I'm gonna let you help her, but you treat her with respect. If you don't, if you question her, harass her, a freight train of pain, buddy. Clausia, I'm on due. She's staying here at the Whirling in Rags, a real pretty one. Silvery jumpsuit, blonde. That's I'm on due, with an O-U.
Shit. The girl. The girl upstairs? That can't be her. She knows you drank so hard you forgot you were a cop.
Yeah. Blonde. Tall. 2 rooms over from yours. Sure. Why not? You've probably seen her around.
You inexplicably add cool after the victim's name, with your eyes bulging like some wild beast. Your fingers are fidgeting and sweat starts forming on your brow as Titus looks at you oddly.
I don't understand what's so cool here. Relationship? There was no fucking relationship. He raped her. That's their relationship.
Was like that karaoke incident all over again. Or like some of the other girls he was harassing.
Okay, enough. All of this is irrelevant to your stated investigation.
He did it before we killed him. He's not gonna do it again. So what does it matter? All right. 2 weeks, maybe? I don't know. I need another beer.
Here you go, boss.
I know her. Well enough, Copper. We partied. She's been here for a few months.
He tries to make it sound real casual, but the muscles on his neck tighten.
You mean Revachol? Nah. Our Miss Aranye disco dancer is an immigrant, or a drifter of some sort, been staying over here over the winter.
Don't you give her any more trouble. She's just had some bad luck, that's all. Shut up, Angie. She doesn't need your help.
Titus gives them both a look. They fall silent. What's with all the silences? It's like these guys don't know how to feel about this. You should keep picking at it. And what was up with the partying she and Titus did? It sounded fun.
What do you think I meant? Yeah, pretty much. No, we just fucked. That's all. I'm not gonna give you any details if that's what you're after. So put your dick away.
He really went out of his way to seem comfortable with this topic. That's all you're gonna get for now. He's doing a good job here. A commendable performance of I don't give a shit.
You don't know her. Good boy. Remember what I said. Freight train of pain.
I help you?
Oh, hello, dear. There you are again. Of course, dear. Is there a particular cryptid that you're interested in learning about? I thought we'd agreed on just one cryptid, sweetie. Can't say no to that. Well, the smallest cryptid is the Cryobacter catlensis, a unicellular bacterium. It was discovered in one of the northernmost points of Kotla on the Boreal Plateau by renowned geologist Caitlin Migenou some 70 years ago. The bacterial colony Migenou found had remained alive while frozen in ice for longer than anyone could reliably estimate, certainly from before recorded history. Migenou disappeared shortly after injecting herself with the bacteria she had brought back to study, no doubt in hopes of prolonging her own life. Yes, the bacteria had survived in the ice since times immemorial. It is not hard to see where she could have gotten the idea. Yes, and she's quite mad, too. After she treated herself with the bacteria, she stopped aging, but also became increasingly eccentric and irascible, so that even her oldest friends were forced to pull away. We can assume that she has been living somewhere in the wilderness for decades now, all alone except for the Cryobacter catlensis coursing through her bloodstream. The gnome of Jeroma. Oh, yes. None of its victims survived. Grieving relatives never even found their bodies because the gnome's venom dissolved organic tissue. It was reportedly a small creature with webbed fingers and a protruding forehead and a gangly little thing. Quite scary to look at. A couple of campers found it when it was already dying. They heard an odd wailing in the woods and followed the sound. They were scared and wrapped it in tarpaulin to suffocate it. It still took the gnome of Jeroma an entire day to die. Alas, no. And the first scientist who got his hands on the creature's corpse put it in a jar of formaldehyde, thinking that would detoxify the gnome's venom. Instead, all the venom leaked out of the creature's teeth and into the surrounding liquid, dissolving the creature itself. A poetic end, perhaps, but a real loss for science.
Alas, always alas, and then it was gone. Isn't that overly convenient?
I understand your skepticism, but that's what happens with things that are rare and stand out. Their disappearance is most memorable, and they are least likely to be found again. What an interesting question. And the answer is yes, there are. The Caldamama or thin whisper of sound. And that's precisely what it seems to be. Self-replicating sound waves, invisible and intangible. It's very afraid of us, which makes it incredibly difficult to track. Like nothing, it's such a high-pitched sound that us humans can't hear it, nor can other animals. It could be ringing right outside your window and you wouldn't even know it. Could be anywhere. Everywhere, even. Many scientists have asked the same question. Some have claimed that it isn't itself a sound, but a tiny corpuscle that emits sound waves. But there's no evidence to support this theory. It could be. As I said, it could be everywhere. And we wouldn't know any better. It could be ringing all the days of our lives and nights. Plenty. It's the evidence that led to its discovery. In the 20s, a group of Areopagite ornithologists, that is, scientists who study birds, were trying out a new recording technology for capturing sounds outside the range of human hearing. When playing back recordings they had made in the foothills of the Ea mountain range, they noticed certain anomalies, patterns that seemed random at first, but on closer examination were consistent with the waveforms of songbirds. The scientists soon discovered they could track and even predict what appeared to be feeding, mating, and migration patterns based on sound waves in a strictly delimited range of ultrasonic frequencies, even higher than those of the highest pitched bat calls. They realized that they had discovered a new species and called it the Coldamamadaqua, after the Paracanassian name for the voice of God, which is said to be very silent. They grew quite obsessed with these little birds. Even though they couldn't see them, they could distinguish among individual birds and even began to name some of them. Sequester, Time, Joscan, those are but some of the Mamadaqua they followed individually. That is a sad story. A group of university students assisting with the field work in their enthusiasm for the project, and no doubt because they were preoccupied with impressing their professors, nearly drove it to extinction. They tried to communicate with it and had no other means but sound, so they started sending out sound waves at frequencies they thought might match the Mamadaquas. And what happens when a sound wave meets another sound wave of the same frequency, dear? Exactly. And these tests were performed so recklessly that when they happened upon the right frequency, well, they wiped out most of the population. After that, the corpuscle appears to have migrated elsewhere. There have been recordings of anomalies similar to those spotted in Ea, but they've been few and far between. It's impossible to confirm the presence of any stable Coldamamadaqua population anywhere. What about what? Of course, dear.
You see a heavy steel door. The door is closed.
Who is it?
Tired, controlled. Somewhere, not far from here, the lieutenant is preparing her file. Clausia Amandu, he writes. You realize the detective should be here for what comes next. It could prove dangerous to go in alone. was that? Could it be the Col de Mamadakwa? No, it's probably just your imagination ringing in your ear. There seems to be an extremely high-pitched ring. Ultrasonic. Lena said it was very high-pitched, right? It's like something tickles your ear. Lena also said that it couldn't be heard by any other animal, including humans. What you're hearing must just be a regular bird. Honestly, your ear isn't hearing a whole lot. The distant hum of the industrial harbor, the traffic. But, admittedly, there is a high-pitched noise somewhere there too. But then, isn't there always? There it is again. You're about to rediscover a long-lost species. Yeah, but how are you going to catch it? It must be very close. Maybe, just maybe, it will come toward you. Keep still. It might perch on your shoulder. Oh no. The sound. It's moving away. Somewhere over there. Go after it. No. Too late. It's gone. There is no ringing anymore. Just the sound of the streets. Keep your ears peeled, then. If the species really has migrated to Martinez, you're sure to hear it again.
Looking for something? Oh man, that's great. Look at that guy go. Haven't seen anything that funny in a while. God damn. Thanks for that, but no, it's not mine.
He doesn't live in Martinez.
Oh, look. It's the cop who turned me into a bad person. Huh? Oh. No, I ain't got any money. They don't want to pay for unfinished work. The bosses, man. Makes sense. It sucks is what it does.
The woman is still hunched over the railing.
Huh? What is it? What do you want?
We're still waiting for a replacement for the bull you sent sinking. Yes, the Debardeurs Union pays me to stand vigil during the nights. Not out of any political allegiance, mind you. I'm an old man. Don't sleep more than a few hours every night anyway, and money is tight. Yes, it does. Unfortunately, I wasn't working that night, being on a 2-week leave since last Monday. It's a private matter. Nothing to do with your investigation.
You see, officer, René is the kind of man who'd rather die than admit he needs medical assistance or, God forbid, sick it. A real man's man is just gonna ride it out.
I'm fine, goddammit. Mind your own business. It's nothing. Just got to cut back on coffee. No one. The boss has been unmanned since last Monday. There's no other guard. It's just me. Yes. It's not actually an issue. I mean...
Look, officer. The container yard doesn't actually need a guardsman. Never had one before René. Monsieur Claire had that booth built specially for him. It's mostly decorative.
The possibility of someone being in there is enough to discourage any ill-minded individuals.
Evrard created this job for René because he knows the Royal Carabiniers' pension of honor and PTSD isn't something a man can live off. A decorated Kingsman collecting tear reflects bad on the whole neighborhood. His words.
Can we conclude the topic of my guard booth now? Yes. Like I said, it would be up anyway, so might as well keep an eye out. It keeps my senses sharp. Ah, yes! King Philip III, on his steed. A reminder of what Revachol once was.
Oh, absolutely. At the mercy of a cocaine-snorting tyrant who emptied the treasury so he could sleep on a bed of gold.
Cocaine? Cocainum? Sounds like our kind of king. And just imagine what kind of cocaine a king would have had.
A superpower, feared and respected. A testament to what this country can be under the leadership of a true king. Someone who knows how to rule. Decisively, without fear of offending the sensibilities of the frail and weak-minded among his subjects. This is something the insurgents never understood. A nation is only as strong as its leader. That's why it was such madness to try to...
Don't get started on that again. What happened, happened.
The Carabinier doesn't reply, but his entire being communicates unbreakable resolve.
Oh, old Philip was a big fan of the purple nose candy the nobility loved so much. A cocaine connoisseur of sorts. His egocentricity is borderline legendary.
You can't even take responsibility for yourself. How could you fathom the responsibility weighing on the shoulders of a ruler? That's why the Philippian kings use cocaine, for clarity of vision, to aid in their work. Regnum cocainum, Revachol's finest years.
I'm satisfied with this explanation.
Philip III was even brought into this world with the help of cocaine. The court made him administer the dose to his mother when she was in labor, and it is well known that with the help of cocaine, only the purest, of course, he was able to connect with higher realms.
Higher realms. Of course, it all makes sense.
From from what I've seen of the officers of the RCM... But I don't want to get into a debate about drug policies. Right.
Officer, the mere sight of police in Martinez makes me feel safer already. How can I help you?
Everything's still cool here, officer.
A rusting control panel with loose wires dangling out from the hole where an indicator light used to be, and a mechanical lever sitting in the middle. This panel usually closes the water lock, turning it into a bridge that lets you cross the canal. You pull the lever all the way up until the metal clicks against the contact pins. You hear a soft clunk. Then, nothing happens. A spring brings the lever back to its original position. You still need to close the water lock to get across the canal, some other way. Wasn't there a sign over there saying functionality will be restored on Wednesday morning?
Hello, hello. Let me know if I can help you with anything. The Koldima Madakwa. Sorry, I would never have guessed that you were that interested in ultrasonic sounds. Or birds for that matter. That's fair. It's been a long time since my Koldima Madakwa hunting days. Once knew a group of young musicians who decided they didn't want to play music anymore and started looking for all kinds of interesting sounds instead. This was before, you know, lost touch with them after all of that. Cool or not, one of them was obsessed with recording the Koldima Madakwa, and he was one of those passionate people who know a lot about all kinds of strange things, so he got the rest of us to join in his search. We thought we did. We got together all these recordings of unusual sound patterns, compared them, cut them up and combined them into the Symphonia Koldima Madakwa. Unfortunately, I don't have any recordings from my old life. None at all, but I do have a tape with some ultrasonic sounds that might be what you're looking for. This recording comes from down the coast. Wasn't looking to record anything specific, just left a recording device there one morning. Keep in mind, I have to slow this one down enough to make sounds well over 200 kilohertz audible to the human ear. It will be strange.
As the hum grows louder, modulating but always unnaturally uncomfortably low, like it's coming not from the speakers, but also from inside your chest, breathing is becoming difficult. Not good, not good. You're about to start suffocating. You have to stop this. There's a growing sense of dread. The sound is coming from inside you, but also surrounding you. It feels as though someone is standing just outside your range of vision and watching you, doing this to you. He nods to you, reassuringly, just as more diverse, higher-pitched sounds, some random, some appearing to form patterns, hit your eardrums. Seabirds most likely, gulls and such.
And skewers, but
That's it. The signal in the noise. The thin whisper. A low range of sounds is easier to handle with a focal point, but still troubling. You are mesmerized by the sounds, but also feel nausea welling up as the motif continues, then begins to recede, dissolving in what must be the sound of water lapping at the bank.
you know, now that I've listened to it on these new speakers, it's not the cold Mamadakwa. Wrong patterns, wrong photons. Probably some insect trying to sing higher than its predators can hear. Still, fascinating, aren't they? Early morning sounds. Sure, let me have a look. Oh, no. I don't like those kinds of objects. No sale. Aphotic paths, counter-radiance networks, anti-magnetism. It's darkness. That's all I know. Sell me something lighter. Another time, perhaps.
Looking for something to read. It is. I know you are. What with?
What with? A lot of things. For example, people tend to go missing.
My husband? No, he's not. I don't know. At home now? Out drinking with his friends? Working? Yes, but I don't really need to know where my husband is. Not all the time. No. Of course he's not. It's not like he's a pocket watch. I wouldn't just lose him.
It's got to be something else then. Why else would you be asking her if it wasn't? Her hands move over the book covers. The tips of her fingers look rough, stained with yellow. It seems like she has spent a lot of time at work, smoking. The woman before you nods and returns to her reading.
Hello again, esteemed officer, and welcome to Crime, Romance, and Biographies of Famous People. Goodness, you were already doing good, browsing. Everything is on the shelves. Take a look yourself. The shelves compel you, don't they?
She smiles and nods, seemingly relieved.
Ace Detective. Are you here for more books?
The display rack is brimming with worn paperbacks featuring an extremely muscular, sword-wielding barbarian. A small mountain of colorful board game boxes. There are numerous types of games for all. Shelves filled to the brim with crime novels featuring crime fiction is a disgrace. And asinine, these books, what's more, not a single mention of all the stress this shelves filled to the brim with crime. Shelves full of biographies of famous people, whoever they are.
A true cultural touchstone. Enjoy the read.
Several maps have been. The maps look old and faded. Your eye catches a map of Insulinda.
I'm sorry, officer. The map of Martinez is the only one available. The other two are not for sale anymore. And besides, you could scarcely afford them. They're quite valuable, though they might not look it. The map of Martinez is 90 cents, though. Yes, yes. Are you interested or not?
Mazovian Socio-Economics. 0.000% of communism has been built. Evil child-murdering billionaires still rule the world with a shit-eating grin. All he has managed to do is make himself sad. He is starting to suspect Krasmazov fucked him over personally with his socio-economic theory. It has, however, made him into a very smart boy with something like a university degree in truth. Instead of building communism, he now builds a precise model of this grotesque, duplicitous world. This bookstore is not strictly about crime, romance, and biographies of famous people. Amidst the various books, you find one written by someone named The point of the book, and many others on this shelf, is to give people medicinal advice in situations where they don't have access to paid health services. It serves platitudes, while also telling wholeness, unity. But when it's up to your mind to heal yourself, then it's because of your mind that you're ill in the first place. The book features chapters on topics such as how to find magnesium. It even lists plants you can harvest magnesium from. How to continue. There's even a chapter on the ancient Seraïs tradition of using. This is just mundane garbage. What's even paranatural about this? The curtains, tattered with age and covered in dust, hang just as you're about to pull apart the curtains, the petrified voice of the shop owner cries out once more.
Sir, don't touch that. I told you it's off limits for the customers. Parapsychologically speaking, we're done if you decide to open them. I won't be held responsible for the consequences. It's too dangerous.
She looks away, mumbling. Why is everyone always messing with the curtains? Why can't they just buy books like normal people?
No! Please just talk to me, officer. Come here and let's talk.
There is something mysterious about the curtains. Be careful. The curtains, tattered with age and covered in dust, hang before you, as if taunting you. You see a dimly lit room full of dusty furniture and trash. A doorway stands in the back, covered in dozens of scary little cage-like trinkets. your shadow looming over it like an omen.
I warned you! You're unleashing forces beyond your understanding!
A heavy door with a missing handle stands before you, covered in dozens, if not hundreds, of